All right. I tell you something, sometimes going live is never simple, right? So, tonight I want to talk about stress because that is truly, I believe, where we're all living. We're on the edge of stress. And stress is a big, big deal. And the only really true reason I'm reaching out about stress tonight is because a dear friend of mine ended up in the hospital with a cerebral aneurysm. And she was very fortunate. They caught it soon and she's been treated and she's improving. But, this just highlights here's someone in their, mid 40s. And I know another friend of mine who had similar conditions in her 40s. And personally, I think, stress is a huge contributor to our heart health because, especially for women, we don't know the symptoms. Women's symptoms for cardiovascular events is just not well characterized in the medical field. And we need much more research for heart health for women because we're the ones who really are big in how they are doing things for ourselves and for our hormones and for our lives because women are the drivers of our families. We're the caregivers. We're caregiving for children, we're caregiving for parents, we're caregiving for how our families run. And so often, so much of what's going on in a family lies in the caregiving dynamic, which is led by women. Yes, partners do help. Partners and spouses, they help, but I don't know if they really can do the kind of thinking like women do. We're as a woman, we're really very strategic. We think very strategically how things need to go, like, the flow of the day, how we kind of have to get everything done. We look ahead, we think about how things went, how things need to go, all the different things that people need to have accomplished during the day. And sometimes I think our spouses or our partners are very, single-minded. They kind of look at one thing, and it's difficult for them to think about all the sprongs of things that need to happen. So I have to say, I think that we have to do something about stress. And I think we have more stress than ever before because there's so much that we are living in that is unknown. The situation in Iraq, the situation with our finances, of what's going on in our gas prices, our grocery prices, our cost of living. Are we going to get raises? Are our finances going to change because AI is being incorporated into our work? There's so much that is unknown. And when we have a stress response, it becomes a hormonal thing. And believe me, I think so often when we have stress responses, we're so stressed so often, we don't really realize we're having a stress response. Our heart rate increases, our blood pressure spikes, and we're on alert. We're on guard because it's that fight or flight, proposition that our stress puts us in. And I think, unfortunately, that's where we're at in so many ways. And that means there's sort of like this cascade of problems. We can't sleep, we have insomnia, or our sleep gets disturbed because we'll go to sleep and then all of a sudden we'll wake up worried about something, or something entered our mind that we didn't remember to get done, or we're thinking we have to get it done tomorrow. I had the worst night's sleep on Monday night after learning about my dear friend's condition. It just concerned me. And something, when things are concerning and you feel powerless, it's really quite difficult. So, how can we turn that around? How can we claim our power back? How can we readjust and recognize, okay, I know that there's stress going on. I know that I have a fixed income, I have a fixed amount of time, I have certain things I would like to get done every day. But the truth is if we don't take time to set the stage for reducing stress right when we wake up, it just continues to climb throughout the day. That's really what happens. And then at some point, we're crashing because we're exhausted, fatigued. We do fall asleep, or, it's hard to enjoy your evening then. You fall into bed exhausted. Then all of a sudden at 3 or 4 in the morning, you wake up suddenly because of either something you've forgotten or something you're worried about or something that happened. And now you can't go back to sleep. And now you're fretting, or you're ruminating about something that you wanted to get done. Frankly, I've been there. And truthfully, what I do every single day. I'm looking for my journal now. I don't see it. I journal. Oh, here it is. Looking around. I journal. It's about the journal. I'm going to tell you. Every single day, I just dump all the things that I'm worried about into my journal. I dump all the things I'm worried about, all the things I'm thinking about, all the things I'm concerned about. I put it down in my journal. And then I have a simple meditative practice, which takes about maybe 5 minutes, sometimes shorter. Or I'll do a mantra. I'll do my simple mantra where it's reading some things aloud. I will read something that is, either encouraging or biblical, or it has some spiritual framework that helps me too. Breathing exercises. I'm a big one for breathing exercises that are mindfulness. It's very simple. Just today I did a simple movement and breath exercise together. 20 exercises of breathing and going up on my tippy toes and throwing my hands in the air. It felt great. It was invigorating. I think that stress has to be something that we all must do something about. We can't allow ourselves to be, beat down physically because there's so much chronic stress. We have to take steps to be engaged in practices that are going to help us reduce the stress. There's going to be things that we can't change. We can't change our income right now unless maybe we're looking at how to do a side hustle. We can't change what's going on in the world right now. We can't change our economy. We can't change interest rates. There's a great deal we don't have control over. I know this. Listen, I let it go. I just let this situation of what I have control over go. And then I recognize exactly what do I have control over. I have control over how I choose to feel. So, how are you choosing to feel? How are you waking up in the morning? Are you waking up just plunging into your day? Give yourself 10 or 15 minutes before you start your day just to gather your thoughts. If you want to journal. If you don't, sit and do a little meditation or a little movement or a little breathing. Start small. And I think if you do something small in the very beginning of your day, you're going to see a change that will help you so, so much. I know for me, I can't live without doing my little morning routine of doing some journaling, and it doesn't take long. In fact, I was listening to a podcast, I think that Amy Porterfield had about the power of journaling and how it offers you a wonderful way of really getting connected to your inner self, getting connected to maybe thoughts that you really didn't know were there. Journaling to me is tremendous. And not only because you're able to just kind of free think and put it on the page, but there's actually a neurocognitive benefit from writing cursive language on the paper with a pen and paper. So if you can do something like that versus typing or putting in some kind of a digital form, that is tremendous. It's a benefit to try and make it something that you can do in a small way, even if it's just a half a paragraph of saying what you're grateful for or saying what you're excited to look forward to today. What is it that you have to look forward to? Keep it simple. Maybe all you have to look forward to is lunch. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes that's what I'm thinking about when my day starts is I think I'm looking forward to lunch. Maybe I can get a chance to eat my favorite lunch, or I'm looking forward to that afternoon walk with my dog to go outside because it'll be warmer. We have to do things that are simple and help us to get a release from the tension and the chronic stress that we're being bombarded with. And just because we have things going on in the world that are highly stressful, it doesn't mean that if they stop that our stress is going to go away. It won't. Because the reverberation of stress is going to happen because there's two things that we can't change right now. Our world is more connected through digital devices than ever before. And if you can, I don't know if I can, I'm going to try. I'm going to try and do one day without a digital engagement, one day without any digital engagement. I don't know if I can do it. So much of my partner and I, we talk back and forth through texting. We're terrible. But I could make a promise to not engage in, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. I can perhaps make a choice not to do that. I'm thinking about doing that on Sundays to truly allow myself to disengage from the connectivity to the screens because we've all heard how the screens are going to really be the death of us. They are causing us to have shortened attention spans. It's really challenging our young people to have less capability of focusing and doing their work. It's changing how their brains are growing if you're introducing these kind of digital tools early in their lives. You know, many parents, I've said this before, are going back to giving their children a flip phone instead of a little computer in their hands, which I think is not a bad choice. I think that we really truly have to be conscientious about how we choose to engage in the world through these digital platforms. We need to be more connected to people. And that's why I'm really working hard. I want to bring together a group at the end of March of people that I know that are part of a supportive online entrepreneurial group. I want to bring together some people and then I think in April I want to do something similar to promote a connectivity for a mindfulness. If you're in the New York area, I'm looking at how I can bring together either at the end of April or the middle of April promoting a connectivity session for mindfulness focuses and do some mini training on mindfulness practices. Because truthfully, mindfulness to me is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. And why is that? Well, because mindfulness is about telling ourselves we're going to be present in the moment. We're going to be right here with ourselves, feeling our body, feeling the light on our face, our butt in the chair, our feet on the floor, the voice coming out of our mouth, the vibration of our voice in our throat, the feeling of our hands in the air. All of these things are really about practicing mindfulness. And it's quite simple to be practicing mindfulness. It's simpler than you think. Often if I'm doing something and I've got things in my brain that just won't shut off and I'm going to take a walk, I will do a mindfulness practice with walking where I think I got this from Thich Nhat Hanh. He would do something like, I love the world. I love myself with every step. I love the world. I love myself. I love the world. I love myself. And frankly, when you start focusing on that kind of process while you're walking, it really changes your energy immensely. All of a sudden, you feel this wonderful, warm, generous feeling that comes over you. I've been doing that when I walk. And the other thing that I've been doing is by Gabrielle Bernstein. She has this inner glow kind of meditation that talks about feeling a sense of the energy of the divine, or whoever you think God is, or your source, or creative spirit, whatever you say is your higher power. Seeing it as a bright light that flows through the top of your head, surrounds you, goes through your body, and it then starts to vibrate throughout the whole room. I found that meditation to me was amazing. I felt a sense of calmness and relaxation I haven't felt in a while. So, pick something, pick anything that you can do to help yourself in a mindfulness practice. They're simple, 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 simple. Mindfulness eating. This is where you basically are, picking up whatever you're drinking, you're holding it in your hand, you feel the glass. I've talked about this before. You take a sip of water, you feel the water in your mouth, you feel the straw against your lips. You feel the coolness. I think that to me is the most amazing practice that you can do. I think the other thing, which I love, is something that we used to do when I was doing improvisation so much. It's really about mindful listening, or they call it active listening. And this is I struggle with this. I get very impatient in meetings, and I kind of feel like I want to finish people's sentences, and I need to shut up is what I need to do. And so I'm really working on this, so I'll shut up. So instead of trying to jump in meetings and move it along, make it go faster, I'm working really hard to slow things down, help myself be present, and really give my full attention to whoever is talking. Oh my God, this is a toughie. So, my goal for next week for mindfulness practices is to be an active listener, to really be present, to let go of thinking of how I'm going to respond, and really just listen to the person who's talking with the intention that I could actually tell them back what they had said to me. I loved that practice when we were doing our improvisational courses, that we would be able to talk back to the person with the same information that they gave us when we were mindfully listening. It's a powerful tool. I cannot suggest that strongly enough. Mindfulness is just a gift that we can give ourselves. The other thing that you can try and do is, now that the weather, let's cross our fingers, is getting warmer, that we can actually give ourselves the gift of experiencing the arrival of spring. I know this coming weekend, the time change is coming. We're going to fall back and lose an hour. So why not take the opportunity and witness actively? Do you see the greenery of the grass changing? Do you see the buds on the trees? Do you see the bud of flowers that are blooming? Look for signs of the nature telling us that spring is on its way. And you can do this in many ways. First of all, it can be using your vision, could be also listening. Is there more sounds of birds? Is there more sounds of anything that you can determine is feels like spring is coming? Is there a smell in the air? Is there a certain kind of quality to the air that tells you there's a freshness, a revitalization on its way? Often we ignore all this. We just suddenly go boom and spring is here. So, if we can do something that acknowledges the changes of our nature around us, as simple as that seems, so that we can be present to what nature is showing us. It is such a gift. It's a gift. And I think that making the time to go outside, be in the sunshine, listening to whatever, the wind, the birds, feeling the sun on your face, or watching the clouds go by, all of that is tremendous. And we as human beings respond to that. There's some wonderful studies about the electricity energy that we get from having our feet placed on the earth. They call it a grounding experience. And this is something that does reduce the inflammation of stress in our bodies. We must connect with nature more frequently than we do. So that's another practice that we can learn to do. Another one is making time to plan to go to sleep and get at least 7 to 8 hours. I think we don't give ourselves enough opportunities to have good sleep. I'm challenged by this immensely. I will drink too much water before I go to bed and then I'm up peeing all night, or I've got something in my mind I can't seem to shake, and so it bothers me all night, or it wakes me up, or have some kind of bad dream about it. Please, please, please join me in working on how we can improve our sleep, right? I do truly think that it's something that we can make a better experience for us because sleep is restorative. Sleep is something that really gives us a big bang for our buck if we put the time and focus on improving our sleep. So I've been forgetting to use my mouth tape. So I started back using that, and that's helped. I've also started back increasing my magnesium and taking a little bit of melatonin and L-theanine to see if that'll help me with my sleep. Every one of us must do things that will help us have the best sleep. If we need to make the room cooler, if we need to make our bed comfier, I got a little blanket that's helped me a lot and some comfy pillows. We must give ourselves the best situation to help us fall asleep. It's critical because then we don't give our bodies the ability to kind of repair and restore. And that's the whole purpose of sleep, repair and restore. There's so many studies now about how sleep is critical for us. So, my friends, this is MC of Healthy by George. I'm just coming on here to inspire you. If you haven't done already, pick up a journal, pick up a practice of some mindfulness or meditation, pick up any kind of activity that's going to help you turn down your nervous system's response to this edge of the stress that we're in. Help ourselves really find a way to connect to our inner peace, to connect to that value of who we are. It's so important because we have this one precious life and we want to live it intentionally. And I hope, like you want to be the very best version of who you are well into your 80s and 90s. So be well, my friends. Please think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here every week where we can talk about things that will make us have a very productive, fruitful, and enjoyable life that will sustain us well into our older years. Reach out, like, subscribe, join. Anything that you can share is awfully appreciated. It's me, MC of Healthy by George, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye bye.